This is Top Shop Podcast.
Shop Podcast.
Top Shop Podcast.
Podcast for automotive service business owners by Paul Donahue.
Good morning, Top Shop Podcast listeners. We got Tanner Markham. He is a shop owner in the beautiful state of Texas, in Silsbee, Texas. So he's been an owner for a little over 6.5 years, but he's been in the industry since around 2011. So Tanner, I do appreciate you taking your time out of your busy day running a shop to be on the podcast. The question I always like to get started with is, how did you get here? How did you end up getting into auto mechanics? And you went from a technician, from what I understand, to an owner, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
So tell me that progression, how that happened. Yeah.
Yep. So I originally went to school to be a firefighter EMT.
Oh, okay.
Didn't have a lot of money to fix my own car, so I started taking side jobs, working as a technician, and eventually that became a part-time job per se. You know, doing mobile mechanic work and working out of my garage, and then it transitioned into a full-time job around 15 or 16, and kept progressing until we opened our first shop in Beaumont. That shop was open between 2016 to 2018, so we were right at 2 years at that location. That shop flooded during Hurricane Imelda, or Tropical Storm Imelda, and we shut down and reopened in 2020 at our current location, and we hit the ground running. And we learned a lot crashing the first shop. We've learned a lot about the business and actually how to run a business, and now we have 5 full-time employees, not including myself, at our current location.
Okay. So you're how many bays do you have right now?
So it's a 3,000 square foot shop. It's three bays technically, but there's 6 doors. So we'll have 4 technicians working. We have 1 diagnosing. We have 3 technicians, hanging parts and replacing, gaskets and that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay. So there's well, I guess you already answered that question. When a shop owners first get started, there's always like what are the biggest issues that they had, obstacles to getting started. So I guess yours was a natural phenomenon, correct?
Yeah, it started it started with a need, right? So we needed I needed to repair my cars, didn't know how to do it. So I started taking technician jobs as lube tech and tire tech, and slowly evolved into drivability diagnostics, to where I became competent enough to start offering those services to other people. And as an EMT, I couldn't afford, I was making like $13 an hour at the time as an EMT, and I couldn't afford to pay somebody else to fix my car.
Right.
It was a necessity to fix my vehicles. But yeah, as far as going back to your question, didn't mean to off topic. The hardest thing about starting a business was finding your niche, your clientele to succeed.
Right.
Having a directed marketing program and learning the hardships in charging correctly was probably the hardest thing, because everybody wants to save the customer money. Everybody wants to be the customer's friend, not knowing that you're doing a disservice or disjustice to that customer by not charging correctly, because in 6 months you may not be able to afford the warranty on that vehicle if something were to happen.
Yeah, so the lowball trap is something that a lot of technicians that become owners get trapped in right away, because they just opened the business. You got all that, fear and anxiety. Hey, is this going to work? I need customers. So they immediately get in that lowball trap, and that's exactly what it is. It's a trap. So I charge this amount, and this is why I charge that amount, and that's
Right.
it. Yeah. So so you were 2 years in Beaumont, and Beaumont's a pretty big area. That's like 115,000 population. So those first 2 years before the flood happened, what was the biggest difficulty? Was it staffing, do you think, or was it
It was definitely staffing and
finding new
inexperience.
customers? Yeah.
With us being such a new business with such a little reputation in the industry, it
Right.
was hard to find dedicated, or not dedicated, dedicated, experienced, and qualified technicians to be able to do the job. So I caught myself hiring people that I probably never should have hired.
Okay.
to work on people's cars, and we had a higher comeback rate. We had a lot of uh, mentality issues, culture issues.
Yeah.
It did not end well. I had to return back to work. I was working for somebody else. My
Right.
wife was running the front end, and then one Monday she come in and all the technicians' boxes were gone. They just left us high and dry over like on Sunday night.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, we stayed open another month or two after that, and then we ended up just pulling the plug completely and, shutting down and waiting 2 years. I went back to a previous employer and um, decided to reopen during COVID.
Decided to open during COVID, right?
Yeah,
So not one thing, it's another. So if success
yeah,
was easy, I guess everybody would do it, right, Tanner?
right. It takes a lot of determination, perseverance, and blood and sweat and tears. And I hate to say it, but I think, you gotta be somewhat open to being punished in a way to be able to take the abuse and the constant repetitive stuff that goes on with starting a new business.
Right. Well, they've already proved that entrepreneurs, people who start businesses, they're not mentally right. Psychology has proven it. In fact, they say some of the top CEOs are actually psychotic.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean,
So, yeah.
it definitely takes a certain mindset to be able to handle day in and day out of this business.
Right. It's any business, Tanner, because what you've described, okay, I've had the same thing happen to me when we got started back in 2009. I've people that not working out, wrong culture, everything that you've experienced, I've experienced, and you just have to, like you said, grin and bear it and say, okay, what can I do? Because I'm ultimately responsible for everything in the business. I own the business, so when I really put all that responsibility on me with no excuses, that's when things started changing. And then, paying attention to my emotional states because whatever emotional state that we happen to be in is usually what we attract. So and it's pretty tough to, like you come in on a Sunday or a Monday and all the boxes are gone. Well, how do you maintain a happy, joyous attitude when that kind of stuff happens? So. But that's when we're tested, right? Because when you make it through that stuff, then you figure out, hey, I can handle this. I made it through it. So tell me about the current shop. You've got five, including you, that's working there.
No, excluding me. There's a
Oh, okay.
total of six
Good.
of us
Good.
here.
Okay, so you
Um,
decent sized shop. Most shops are between four and seven. I mean, the typical shop. And how many bays do you have now in at the Silsbee?
um, it's three drive-through bays, so
Okay.
we operate as like a almost a six-bay shop. It's not entirely wide enough to do six trucks at a time because we're
Okay.
primarily trucks. It's primarily what we do is the medium and light duty diesel trucks.
Okay. Yeah, specialization is really, I mean, that's really where it's at. So, the main bulk of your business is diesel trucks. That's where you're getting your okay, okay. Huh, okay.
It,
Just speak about diesel because one of the questions I ask always, where do you think the market's going? Because we've got all the batteries and maybe we'll do hydrogen and blah blah blah. And so, but I'm sorry, I just interviewed somebody else that specialized in diesel that was like up in Wyoming in a town of 250. So he didn't know either, and I haven't had time to research it. But I'm just wondering, what are the sales of diesel trucks? Are they staying consistent? Are
uh,
is this
so
market
new
continue?
sales of diesel trucks are not staying consistent because of the price of these trucks and how expensive they've gotten. A couple years ago, you pick up a three-quarter ton diesel for around 40 to 50,000. Now three-quarter tons anywhere from 75 to $100,000.
A
So
hundred
the older
grand.
trucks, yeah, if not more, depending on the trim.
Wow.
We have customers that bring in their 23s, 24s, and 25s, F450 limiteds. They're 120, $130,000 truck. Um,
Wow.
and these guys, and a
I
lot of
really
these
didn't I
customers we
really didn't
have,
know I didn't know seriously, I did not know that they got that high.
yeah, a
No.
lot of these customers don't even pull anything with these trucks. They just drive them because they think they're cool. So
Right.
that's a kind of another battle in itself for customers buying outside their price range. Kind of like the Euro clients, they don't know the maintenance and cost of repairs in the future. They buy them when they're under warranty. Then when they
Right.
fall out of warranty, they can't afford repairs.
Right.
So it becomes kind of a battle in itself there.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, the older diesels market is incredibly hot on the repair side because the new diesels are so expensive.
Okay.
Um, so, everything from fuel system turbochargers and gasket reseals, we do a lot of engine reseals because
Okay.
they like to leak oil after a certain amount of time or a certain amount of abuse per se. So we do a lot of, engine out, engine reseal type work,
Okay.
which I want to say is about 50% of our gross every year is gaskets.
Wow. 20%.
Well, it's like 50%.
Wow. That's a lot. Yeah. That's big. Right. So are you still working on, Asians and domestics and stuff like that? Break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
But your
cars
focus
and
is on the diesel. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, we're a Ford specialized shop. We do a lot of diesel, but we do a lot of Ford. We're a Motorcraft affiliated shop.
You're right.
So we do, EcoBoost down to, the 3.5 Cyclone engines and stuff like that. We have technicians who are able to do timing chains and that kind of stuff as well. So we're not, it's not 100% diesel, but we do some gasoline as well. And the guys are good at what they do. They believe
Right.
in the mission. They believe in, what they do. They have a lot of pride in their work.
Yeah.
They don't, I don't remember where I was going with that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's all right. Well, but Tanner, what I am hearing is you've made it through hell. So, and you have a shop that now that is a decent size. You have a decent amount of staff members. So, a long time ago, and I say this a lot in my um, podcasts, but if 20 years ago you went to a shop owner and you asked him about culture, he would say that I don't eat yogurt, or something like that. So, but culture is really important now. And it sounds like you've had a radical change in the culture in your shop from the day that you came to your shop and all the boxes were gone to today. So what have you done? What did you see? Wow, this is what I did, and this is how I changed it, and this is the results. Can you give me some? Because a lot of shop owners want good advice on culture.
Yeah. So one of the biggest thing is we understand that, when you go to work for somebody, you spend half your life and not three-quarters of your life working for somebody else. And we go above and beyond to show appreciation and be thankful to our technicians because ultimately, you have a service advisor who pushes sales to the customer, but the technicians actually turn the work and actually make the money for the company. You have to
Right.
respect the technicians, and you have to, appreciate what they do. You can't treat them like dirt because they're not, because you're not going to turn around and go find a technician on the street corner. I mean, it's not,
Nope.
you can find a mechanic per se, but you're not going to find a qualified technician on the street corner because they're in high demand. And, you can't treat them like dirt. You can't, you have to be engaged with them. You have to show that you're interested in their personal expansion, the personal learning, the personal growth as well. You want to see them do financially well as part of the team. It can't all be about the success of the owner. It has to be success of the individuals that drive the company because it's a machine. Everybody has an integral part and fits into the system like a gear.
Okay. The success of the individual. Yep. Yep. That's a very, very important point. Are you doing anything? Because a lot of shop owners say we have weekly lunches. Some shops don't want to have extracurricular activities on the weekend because they're in the shop all week. But some of them they go to like the go-kart tracks, they go to, bowling, and that's where the wives and the kids all come in and they, so I've just heard all kinds of different things that I know, lets those team members go know that hey, you value them and they're a part of a team, a family. So,
Yep. So we typically feed the team at least once a week. Here lately, in the last couple of weeks, we've been cooking every day, like home cooked meals and stuff for the
oh
team
wow.
versus eating out, um, which helps their health as well. Correct. So they're not having stomach issues and stuff, and spending a lot less time in the bathroom. Even though that's
Right.
crazy to say, but when you eat out every day, it definitely affects your gut health.
Yep.
So eating at the shop every day, providing them food and stuff has definitely helped. We bring them out somewhere of their choice, every quarter. We'll let them choose like a restaurant and let them do whatever. It's not uncommon for us to just drop $500 to $1,000 on a meal, feeding, a couple of guys. The other thing is we have get-togethers. Like every quarter, we'll also have like where we have a crawfish bowl or something at the house. We'll have like steak dinner night at the house or at the shop. And something new we're going to start trying this weekend is we're all going to get together and go ride side by sides and ATVs at one of
Oh,
the off-road
okay.
parks.
So you are
Um,
doing all the things that the shop owners tell me that
yeah,
works. Yeah, that works. Yeah.
yeah, we've tried to get together to play airsoft. I want to probably bring them to do paintball one time, just team
Oh,
building
paintball.
exercises.
Yeah, that'd be fun, right?
Um,
Yeah.
the off-road stuff. I mean, all my technicians are in the off-roading scene, like four-wheelers and ATVs and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So me and my wife decided to buy a side by side, and we're going to bring our kids, and we're all going to go ride for. I think we're going to do Saturday for now.
Okay.
Um, and just get everybody together. It builds camaraderie. It builds relationships among themselves, and shows even them that we're human too, and we do make mistakes, right?
Right.
Because a lot of times business owners, shop owners, business leaders, they don't like to show they have weaknesses. They
Right.
always want to stay in control and show that they're I hate to say perfect, but they try to act perfect. And that's part of the downfall is, the business owner typically puts himself above or higher on the pedestal than their employees, and that should be just the opposite, the way I feel.
Right. Yep. So, wife and kids. How old are your kids, Tanner?
So I've got three boys,
Three boys.
4, 6, and 9.
4, 6, and 9. Okay. All right. So all of them since you've had this new shop. So the reason I ask is work-life integration. You're running a shop. It's growing. You've got, I would say a lot because most shops your size, that's exactly what they've got. You've got the proper size team and everything, but work-life integration. I did a podcast yesterday with somebody who, in the beginning, he didn't have that. So, and his marriage made it, but she wasn't happy. So, because he had a tough time in the beginning getting it going. But I think it's an important subject, and I just want to hear. Do you got any advice for a shop owner getting started on work-life integration with 3 kids? Because
Yeah. So
your kids are at a fun age. I mean, this is when you
yeah,
camping and all that stuff that they
yes, sir.
remember forever.
Yeah, work-life balance is definitely key. My first job, that was part of the other problem. I would work 16, 17, 18 hours a day. I really put a lot of time and energy in that shop. And the reason I was not pushing forward and succeeding and growing like I should because of my charging structures weren't correct.
Okay.
Um, so when we fixed our charging structures, and it's still in a work of progress, we're still, fine-tuning everything to get the most out of it and trying to get the efficiency up. But um, I typically start work at 6 o'clock in the morning and I stop work around 5. Now, there's exceptions where I may have to answer a phone call or whatever after hours, but we try to minimize that and stick because we're open 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
I do everything I can to stay within that time frame of getting everything accomplished. Now, there's some exceptions we have to make, but it's few and far between
Okay. Okay.
because when we're off, it's about our kids, it's about family. We try not to talk business outside of the business unless it's a matter, and we have dedicated 30 minutes to an hour every day to debrief and talk to each other because my wife is my business partner and also the financial officer of the company. So
Okay.
we'll spend 30 minutes to an hour once a day outside the business to kind of compress, debrief, and talk about things we need to do and where we're headed and what we have to do to get there.
Okay. So you guys, so do you and your wife then, so she's involved, she's working in the business also.
Yes.
So do you guys have, because my wife and I had that issue, until we'd wake up in the morning and we'd start ask a question about a business, an employee, a customer, and then my wife was like, see that clock? When it hits 7 o'clock, you can ask me that question. So, because I'm usually
Yeah. No.
at 4:30.
I'm guilty of that because I'm a workaholic. She's very, clock driven. We have these
Sure.
times and this is the schedule we're going by and that's it. Now we'll have a conversation on occasion come up
Right.
about a employee problem or employee whatever the case is, a training event or us going to training, whatever. There is some conversations outside of work that kind of involve the business, but
Hmm.
it primarily, it's 7 to 4 is when those conversations should be had. And we try to leave business at work and then leave home at home. And that's one of the biggest thing is we leave our personal problems at home. We expect our employees to do the same, when possible. And if they can't, then they need
Sure.
to take the day off and take a mental health day per se.
Sure. Yeah. And that's great that you're the type of shop that allows that and values your team members when they have issues like that, you know?
Well, if they're distracted, can be costly, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. They can't afford to be distracted. We can't afford to then be distracted. It's a good way to
Hmm.
get somebody hurt. But it's a good way to have an accident. It's a good way to cost the company a lot of money in a simple mistake of putting the wrong bolt in the wrong hole and cracking something.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah, anytime, I've had to learn this lesson the hard way myself. Anytime you're in a state of overwhelm, decisions go down the tubes. Proper thinking. So even a technician, it doesn't matter what your job is or what you do in life. As long if you are in a calm, a peaceful state, you make better decisions and you do better work. So let's talk about finances. So most shops fail. By the way, you've made it through the first five. Most shops 80% fail within the first five. So you're on your way into making it to that 10-year mark. So no shop's going to make it to that 2-year mark, let alone the 5-year mark without finances. And I got a funny feeling you had a rough lesson with the first shop in Beaumont. Am I correct if I look into my crystal ball?
Yeah, yeah. So Beaumont was definitely a rough go.
Sure.
I think we did a total like $350,000 in a year, and our
There.
rent was over $3,000 a month.
Oh,
It was
wow.
not easy. Plus, you have other overhead costs and stuff.
Right.
Uh, this shop didn't start off great. I had a business partner that we went into business together with, and we separated in
Oh,
22.
okay.
Um, we had to bail the business out, had to refinance my truck to be able to bail the business out of tax debt because the sales tax was not being paid because the money was disappearing. And
Mm,
that's part of the reason why we had went separate ways. So we bailed the company out, and 23 was the first year we did over $1 million, and then we did it again in 24, and then in 25 we realized just because you made $1 million doesn't mean we have money in the accounts, right? So we
right,
started doing some digging and then realized we had some major problems within our pricing matrix still. Even though we were doing what we thought was like really, really well, we had,
right.
money coming and going and, had good cash flow. But at the end of the day, we weren't able to maintain money in the bank. So we started looking for coaching. I'd listen to podcasts, I listened to multiple podcasts, I've talked to multiple people in the groups, and we eventually found Elite Coaching is who we chose. And our coach has went above and beyond for us. He's definitely helped us get our pricing in line, our parts to labor are closer to 1 to 1 now. Um, for like let's say like last year we did $700,000 in parts, we did 675 in labor, right?
Hmm.
Labor goes further because there's less overhead involved with labor versus parts.
Correct.
Even with the matrix and markups and everything else, in Texas, labor is tax free. So it's money we are able to reinvest inside the company, able to pay off debts and that kind of stuff.
Okay. So, so tell me about coaching. Tell me about before and after. Every time I've spoken with an owner that got coaching, they have told me it's been the biggest, most life-changing event for them.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of it's going to be accountability, right? So you have a coach that actually truly cares about you. They're going to hold you accountable to your decisions
okay,
and the things you need to do.
okay,
And that's the biggest thing is you have to be accountable. You have to be responsible for your actions and your decisions. Um, one of the thing is he's encouraged me to start reading again. And, I've read multiple books and I have plenty of books to read this year.
mhm,
Extreme ownership has been a big one in understanding that you have to own your team's failures. The team gets the win, you take the failures. That's just part of it. When the team wins, you win per se, but You can't take the credit for stuff your team does all the time. You have to let them know that they made it. They are the ones that did this. They're the ones that accomplished this. But when there's a problem, you can't point your fingers at the team and blame them. You have to own it and take a responsibility for it.
Yep. Hey, Tanner, can you hold it 1 second? I got a
Yes.
restroom real quick. I'm just going to pause it real quick.
Okay. Yeah, and her name's pretty unique the way it's spelled. So
Yeah, Cassie, Kassi is your wife. So, yeah, so what a trooper. So she works with you in the business, and she's the taking care of a 4, a 6, and a 9-year-old, three boys. So
yeah.
that's yeah. I remember about 20 some years ago, I got straightened out by a woman really quick when I asked her what she did for work, and she had 4 kids. So now I ask, "What do you work outside the home?" So yes, because that woman corrected my thinking really quick. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
So
I mean, even at home, I mean, we work as a team. We both take care of kids. We will both keep clean and cook. I mean, it definitely takes both of us to run the business, takes both of us to run our home life. I mean, we
sure.
really try to be a team here and there.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you got a great partner, and it is you're and you're making it work. You've set your priorities. Sounds like your wife has helped you do with the line in the sand thing, with the work home life thing. So more than one wife is dialed in the husband on the work life thing. So
Yeah, and not only that, but she's been, a lot of help because I have a lot of impulsive decisions, like stuff I want to do on the fly. And she's like, "Hey, it's not the right time. We need to make sure that we have money here. We need to get this accomplished first because I'm ADHD in a lot of ways, and I'll start a project before I finish another one, and she makes sure I finish one project before we move to the next.
ah
Um,
yeah
because she has a lot to do with the success we had. I mean, she has a lot. I'm the visionary, she's the realist, and she lets me know real quick, hey, we don't have funding for you to go spend $30,000 on new tire equipment or whatever the case is.
right okay awesome. Yep. So that's pretty much describes our situation also. Hey, so you have been in the industry for a while. What do you think are the biggest, most radical changes in the last 5 to 10 years? What that's affected the auto repair industry?
Technology rapidly changing, and
Okay.
technology, the lack of information as quickly as the vehicles are coming down the pipeline. Uh, we're still struggling with this with GM vehicles on their strategic repair planning or their processes.
Hmm.
They're very part swap. They like to swap parts from one, if this doesn't work, replace this. If this doesn't work, replace this. There's no actual like troubleshooting for a lot of these vehicles anymore. It's just part swapping. They have dumbed the repair process down to the point where the dealership technicians don't have to have the advanced level training anymore.
Wow.
And then with that being said, the repair information from the big three has become dumbed down too because there's no more checking voltages hardly, especially with GM. It's, replace this component, replace that component. And you have to rely on your fundamentals and your basic understanding that you can't follow this. You have to do your due diligence and check your, the wiring and check for voltages and ampere loads and, the other stuff. Because if you do it the way GM wants to do it, you'll have a $10,000-$15,000 bill to a customer and made no progress. And,
Yeah.
you know, we have to lean really heavily into knowing how to work on older vehicles to fix the new ones because just the lack of information available.
Are you following the right to repair at all? Are you yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Give,
I read a lot
give me your
between.
opinion on that. Yeah.
See, the problem is with right to repair, it started with emissions. The reason it exists is because emission systems have made things more complicated. And as things are going EV and clean, the right to repair laws are being put in the gray area, and manufacturers are refusing to release information. I just dealt with an Acura and a Honda where they had switched the pin out on the OBD2 port, and you had to have a dedicated fob to communicate with the 25 or 26 Hondas. I don't remember which year model.
Hmm.
Um, it changes things because stuff we've been using for the last 20 plus years are being changed to where you have to buy different tooling to be able to communicate with them, which goes against, I guess, I don't know the correct word, in the global agreement for OBD2, where everybody uses one communication system. Everybody uses, a real similar pinout per se. So that way data can be collected and, individuals and independents can repair their vehicles.
Hmm.
And EV has thrown a wrench in everybody's system
Right.
because they don't have to meet by law, they don't have to meet the emission standards in the Right to Repair Act in a lot of aspects, from what I gather, because they don't have emissions. They don't have tailpipe emissions, so they don't qualify to release repair information per se.
Hmm.
Now, there are independent companies out there that are providing training to work on, electric cars and EVs, but they're few far in between.
Hey, let me then, I know this is conjecture. I do like asking this question to everybody. Where do you think we're going? I mean, so a lot of people that can't see past the end of that thought that the EVs were the Green Deal. It's, like trees and grass, but no, it's the Green Deal. So um,
Um,
then, Governor Newsom, says, okay, the whole state of California, which is like larger than the Japanese economy, is all going to be electric by 2030, but we don't have an infrastructure for that. A little, side thing. But where where do you think we might be going? Personally, and I say this in just about every podcast, I'm praying and hoping for hydrogen.
yeah. So hydrogen technology would be great, but what I have a feeling we're still going to have ICE engines, internal combustion engines, but
Right.
it's going to be used in a different application. Ultimately, I believe the way locomotives operate is probably the way of the near future, to where we have a power plant powering a generator that powers to the wheels.
Oh,
Um,
wow, I haven't heard that before. Okay, so that's how a locomotive works. So a
yes.
locomotive, say that again. So what does it do? It power
So
generator
a
that,
locomotive has a ICE engine or ICE motor, internal combustion engine
right?
that spins a generator. That generator then produces power and sends it to the wheels. There's like a motor on each wheel or some kind of drivetrain of
Hmm.
some sort. It's less wear and tear. There's no transmission per se. It's all electronic motors and wiring and stuff. Locomotives have been doing it for 30 years now or more, and it's super efficient. It is able to move an absolute ton of weight,
Hmm.
and there's not a lot of problems with it because you're not running the engine wide open. It stays at like 1 RPM its entire life. So you don't have, the huge RPM sweeps. I was reading somewhere, I think Dodge is going to be probably the first one coming to market with that technology in a vehicle, and I want to say they're using a 3.6 Pentastar with a generator behind it to power, the drive
Hmm.
and reverse options.
Hmm.
Um, Edison Motors out of Canada
Hmm.
has a similar setup, and they're using 18-wheelers. They're using like a Cat or a Cummins engine to power a generator, which then powers wheels to the drive motors. It seems to be far more fuel efficient because you still have batteries at play. So the engine's able to shut off until the batteries get to a certain level. The engine kicks back in and charge batteries back up. So you're making diesel and gasoline go a lot further per mile, a lot further per mile. Um, because our most vehicles these days have a direct drive from the engine to the transmission to the wheels. Locomotives do not. There's not a drive shaft that connects the engine to the wheels.
The wheels. Okay.
It's strictly power. So it's still an electric vehicle, but it has an onboard generator, so you're not required to stop and charge it.
And
So
there's
a
no,
gallon of gasoline can be 100, it may take a gallon of gasoline to go 100 miles per se. So it's hugely increasing decreasing fuel consumption, but increasing mileage and range.
hmm. That's you're the first person to give me that idea. So a hybrid, hybrid did to me, I think what hybrid did for fuel efficiency exactly is what the carburetor to the fuel injector back in the 70s when I was a kid, So, oh, hey, we only have 20 years of oil reserves, and then someone invents a fuel injector. Okay, well, now we got 200 years of, and then now but and with no drivetrain, that means power direct to the wheels. So the power loss from the engine to the drivetrain is severely reduced. I'd love to see the numbers on that. But you are the
Correct.
first person to mention that. That's a totally different aspect. So yep, we'll see how it shakes out. Who knows? So I know that they're coming up with solid state batteries, so it's going to be a different kind of battery. We'll just have to wait and see how it all works out. So, if you were to give a piece of advice to a new shop owner, hey Tanner, I'm going to open up a shop here in Pleasant View, Utah. What's the most important advice you can give me to make sure that I'm gonna?
Find so the most important piece of advice, and I wish I'd done this, was find a coach or coaching company to start working with immediately, so that we have a decorated, experienced shop owner to bounce ideas off, and that way you can get strategic pricing and systems set up from the get-go. If I'd done that when I first started, I think I'd be a lot further along than what I am.
Okay. Every single shop owner, pretty much that I've spoken to, and I asked that question, that has acquired coaching, that's the answer I get.
Now,
And-
there's some people out there that have a great business sense and have built a great business plan, but they did not start as a technician, right?
right.
There's people in this space that opened a automotive shop because they saw that they can bring value or a service to the area that was needed, but they knew how to run a business prior. They came out of some other industry and came to this industry and started a business. So, charging structures and stuff. Now they had to learn some background stuff and how automotive can be unique, like any technical trade. Um, but typically, people that start shops that aren't technicians know how to run a business from the beginning.
So yeah, and I there's a lot of really good coaching companies out there. Personally, and I've heard a lot about Elite. Just recently, I wasn't really aware of them. Um, so we recommend because I know so many of the customers. We recommend We Are the Institute. And I think you even chatted with them. So you always
Yeah,
you always it's like a digital marketing agency or coaching agency. You want to
yeah,
interview different ones and see which one works out best. So
correct.
okay, so
And that's what's important, is to finding somebody that matches the culture you're after,
mhm,
matches your temperament and personality, and has achieved the goals that you're wanting to achieve and where you want to go.
okay,
Not every coaching company is the same. Not every, and that's the thing. There's some coaching companies that have a cookie cutter system they want you to do, and basically you become, I hate to say it, but the McDonald's of the automotive world, where you start just doing brakes and this and that, and kind of venture away from what identifies you as you. Now, with that being said, they have great cash flow ideas, and that's
hmm
very important to keep in mind. Is cash flow is king in any industry. Um, but the thing is you don't want to lose your identity and what you want to do in your space, because there is a tire shop on every corner, there's a brake shop on every corner, but what makes you different than them, right? You can do tires, wheels, suspension, heavy, hanging metal, but what makes you different than them? Are you truly bumper to bumper auto care? Or are you just looking for low hanging fruit and want to take care of the customer in that way? There's multiple ideas how to run this business, but unfortunately, in the same sense, not every shop will do an engine swap. Not every shop will do gasket reseals and do the heavy, nasty work that needs to be done to keep the transportation business moving forward.
right.
And you have to find a shop, or you have to find a coaching industry in what spectrum of the automotive industry you want to be in, because it's not cut and dry. Not every shop's the same. What I offer is not what the shop down the road offers.
Right.
The shop down the road may be working on Euro, where we won't hardly touch a Euro car. One of the other shops may be, classic cars. I won't touch a classic car. There's a shop that is their niche is in this one particular case. Now, there's a shop in town that they're really well known, but they don't do any advanced level repairs or diagnostics. They strictly do brake, suspension, and tires.
hmm
They'll do a valve cover gaskets or spark plugs, but they won't go past a valve cover gasket. They won't pull an engine out and reseal it. They're not doing transmission, changes and stuff like that. They'll do fluid flush. Um, so it's important to figure out what you want to do, what you want to offer, and where you're going to be profitable at. is the key, and that's where your coaching companies come into play. What is profitable for you? Because what's profitable for them is not what's profitable for me. And that's another thing is, as a business owner, I see it and I was guilty of it, calling around getting other shops pricing and trying to price yourself in the middle. You're not the cheapest, you're not the most expensive. Can't do that. You can, absolutely, but you're not going to be truly profitable.
Right.
Because my expenses outweigh the shop next door because our guys are hourly. They're not flat rate. And their flat rate technicians may only make them $22 an hour. Our guys are making $35 plus an hour hourly.
Right.
My expenses are more than what theirs are, and that dictates what my door rate is. That's what dictates everything. That's where a coaching company comes in. Somebody experienced in this industry is going to really make a change in the way you operate.
That's awesome, Tanner. I once again, I want to thank you for taking valuable time out of your day, running your shop to be on Top Shop Podcast. So you've given some great advice, and the podcasts are usually audio. I don't care about the audio; it's the video. We live in a video world, so
Yes, sir.
that's why I'm anxious to get as many podcasts recorded as possible. So down the road, other shop owners can listen to the advice of people that have already been through it. So we really appreciate your time today. You go to Vision, don't you? Or do you?
Yes. So we went last year. We're not going this year.
Okay.
Things just didn't lay out quite well for us, but I think we're going to Soaring with the Eagles for its elite program that we're going to. It's like a business owner boot camp.
Mhm.
And then I think we're going to try to make ASTA this year as well.
Okay. All right. Well, if you go to ASTA, be sure to stop by my booth and say hi so I can get a photo. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sure will.
Yeah. And thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
For additional automotive resources and exclusive content, follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all our episodes. Thanks again for joining us in the driver's seat, and we'll see you next time for another thrilling episode of Top Shop.